Good times lie ahead. With company, they'll flash a smile on your head. Come on in, the door's open, you'll find just the finest folks here. Pull up a chair, grab a drink, and let the stories your ear. 'Cause the talk the tavern. Here you're always welcome. The talk the tavern. Promising beer and fair love. The talk the tavern. Music, medicine, and sun. The talk the tavern. Songs over. Here we come.
The music coming across the stream is
And-
really quiet.
Well, okay. We're on.
Hey, hello.
It's okay. Let's address the music problem. I don't know what happened.
All right.
So there we go. Andrea said she couldn't hear the music. You're saying it's quiet. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Welcome to Twitch.
Oh, I'm not on Twitch, so
I'm just
heard them.
welcome to Talk at the Tavern. It is Monday, March 4th, and tonight's topic will be superheroes played out. I am the host, Travis Sivart, and tonight I am enjoying Isaac Bowman Port Barrel Finished. Had it at a taste testing earlier in the weekend. Let me introduce all my co-hosts, or have them introduce themselves as the case might actually be, and we'll get rolling with different things. Let's just start in the upper left with Kevin. What do you got tonight, sir?
Which makes sense because, in my view, I'm in the bottom right, of course. This evening, over in the sunny UK, I am drinking exceptionally strong. I don't know what it is actually, some kind of gold blend, mildish coffee concoction, and smoking hand-washed drummed tobacco.
Very good. And then going to the upper right, Chris Hall.
Ha! I'm rocking my usual rum and, well, a sad and disappointing Mr. Pibb.
Why
because
is it?
the restaurant I was at did not have Dr. Pepper, they had Mr. Pibb, and I wasn't gonna waste it, so guess I'll drink it.
Okay. And in the center of your screen, Elizabeth the Pickle Lady.
Okay, I'm on. Hello and good evening, everyone. Nothing going on here. Don't look. Tonight, I'm drinking a, I guess you would call it a fruit smoothie of my own concoction. Unfortunately, there's no alcohol. So.
Boo.
Boo,
If
indeed.
you let it sit long enough, it will be. It'll ferment.
It's true. And lots of water, and a nice cup of tea.
She got a whole freaking selection of stuff there.
Don't tell me what to do.
I didn't. I just
Don't-
said you have a lot
Don't
to
tell me
drink.
not to tell you what to do.
Don't tell me not to tell you what to do.
You people, I tell you what. And last but not least, Andrea.
Hi. I have coffee in my Talk of the Tavern mug.
Hey.
I'm finishing up some Girl Scout peanut butter cookies,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm knitting another hat. Oh, for my pork.
So, Andrea's been explaining this phenomenon to me before we came on air, that apparently in order to save paedophiles petrol money, you send small children to the door with candy already freely sprayed.
Yes.
Now they turn up at your house with cookies.
Cookies. Cookies.
Already I could foresee this being the kind of thing, correct me if I'm wrong, those of you who have had any experience with this whole Girl Scout cookie thing, this is going to be the kind of thing where horrendous domineering parents suddenly become frantic to drive their child to be some kind of horrendous, sort of child slave. You must be the one to sell the most cookies, you must be the top of your league. I can see it now.
But we'll have to send you
Here
some
they just
cookies.
set it up in front of grocery stores.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a story in a guy? Maybe it's one of those urban myth things, but wasn't there a story in one of the first states to legalize pot where they were asked to move on after they set up a cookie stall right next to a pot dispensary and were like creaming hundreds and hundreds of dollars a day?
That's
Yes.
genius.
Yes,
Absolutely,
it was out in
right.
Colorado.
Okay.
And the kids' parents were fine with it, and the people in the pot dispensary were fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
But like a Facebook group got word of this and was all up in arms.
It's because their kids were the rival.
Look out over the hill! Here they come, the keyboard warrior.
Pretty much.
I'll have you know, I belong to that Facebook group, and it's called Sticks Up Our Ass, and it is a delightful group, and I take great offense at any
Great.
suggestion
On
otherwise.
behalf of stick bearers everywhere.
For a while, I heard you change your name to Social Justice Warriors, but changed it back. Anyhow,
Yeah, you know, yeah. Catching children across the land was a brief mission statement for Pickleman.
real quick, Toei, hello, how are you? Toei puts on her cape
Hey,
and
Toei.
points out that most scouts sell online nowadays. And Dead Rising Undefined has made it back after a nap and perhaps a nosh. So welcome back. And what's everybody drinking tonight? And we're going to do an opening toast here. Here's to having heroes, real or fictional.
Here's to you guys, you're my heroes.
Oh, here's to your face. I hero it.
Thanks.
I don't know what that means, but I'm doing it. Okay. So, anybody have anything interesting go on in the past 7 days? I have 2 stories to share, but I'll let you guys first, and I'll let... there's either the redneck funeral that happened in my backyard.
Oh, you're going first? Never mind.
Oh, no. I'm giving choices and then letting you guys go. It's the second thing is butt wiggling bowling. So let's.
Why, I never.
Kevin, did you have anything interesting happen in the past week?
Of course not, I'm British. I'm far too preoccupied with the last bit of water is slowly spiraling down the plug hole, watching the social fabric of my country tear itself apart to have anything interesting go.
So that's a no then.
No. No, absolutely nothing.
Oh, okay, very good. It's what about? I don't know, Elizabeth, Chris. Either of you have anything?
I mean, beyond the bowling bit, I backed the Kickstarter for the Myst, like 25-year, like disc set essentially, and they sent me a giant book, and it's got the little Myst thing in there, and you open up the side, and it's got some hidden compartments.
Oh, nice.
So that's super nifty.
Very good. Very cool. And you could talk about the bowling thing if you want.
Well, I got a strike and won a free game because I knocked down the pink pin.
It's not
Down,
a
calm me down.
Why don't we start with the whole story? Like, start from the beginning.
That's the only part that was
Okay.
interesting to me.
Let me set the stage. Andrea, Chris, Elizabeth, myself, and 2 other friends got together Friday night. Friday night consisted of a bourbon tasting, Thai
Noodle.
food, and bowling. Who'd like to go now?
Lovely.
noodles.
Kevin.
I want to go.
Okay,
Search-
I'm just gonna.
Searching my emails now. I must have missed the invite. Sorry about
We're
that.
still waiting for you to show up. Okay, in Fredericksburg, Spice Thai, my favorite Thai place. We drive over an hour to go there, and then we drug everybody else there. It was great. I got my noodle. They have drunken noodles. It's the best. And the owner was there, and I told her that, you know, we come out here, we drive this far, we have people coming from other states, and they gave us some free, what were those things? Cream dumplings?
Crab Ragoon.
There was crab in that.
No, it was just a cheese rangoon.
Okay,
No.
cheese rangoon.
Oh no. It was alright. It was good. It was fun.
But it was crabby cheese.
Yeah, it took me like 2 hours and 45 minutes to get there.
I thought you were going to say it took 2 hours and 45 minutes for you to process the cheese.
That's
Well,
what I wanted. But you made it.
I did. And had lots of fun.
And then you got home in a third of that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
Is that because all the cops have gone to bed?
No, it was just there's no traffic going that
Oh,
way
okay.
on 95 at, midnight.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
He's going to D.C., Washington, D.C.
Oh,
So-
right, gotcha. Okay.
On
You can imagine the exodus that happens
And
Friday
around
night.
DC,
I
and then
sometimes-
keep going.
I sometimes lack the perspective of what heavy traffic really means, given they on a tiny island where heavy traffic means some sheep have escaped into a boot somewhere.
Yeah, we have surpassed LA with worst traffic.
Wow, good effort. Well done.
Are you proud?
No, I'm not proud.
Yeah. All
I
right.
don't know. There was like a small note of pride there. Like 90% of you was really pissed off with the genuine, but 10% of you was like, but if anyone's taking that time, fuck it, it's going to be us.
We're the most miserable.
exactly.
That's right. Now I'm gonna complain about it.
That's it. Keep it up.
I think we need to make you a
If you-
puppet.
If you keep this up in about 200 years, you'll be British.
Maybe. Oh, you want to talk about the bourbon stuff? I didn't do that because I was excited about the Thai food. So,
Well, in the ABC store beside the Thai restaurant, we showed up early, Andrea, Elizabeth, and I. So we all went into the ABC store where they sell the alcohol. And they had a setup from the Bowman Distillery, which is right in town there. And we had actually done a bourbon tasting from their products that they sent us, as well as some gin. So we talked to the guy, tried their 2 bourbons, went over next door. Then Tom and Amy showed up. I took Tom, went next door, tried the bourbon again. He bought a bottle for me and himself. Then we went back to the Thai restaurant. Then Chris showed up and we went next door to the bourbon tasting again.
again.
So it was a
Good
good...
whiskey ages. You've got to keep going back and checking.
That's right.
That peak moment.
I could tell the difference. It's and by the way, everybody, bear with the choppiness. The internet has been a bit odd. Apologize for that. There's nothing we can do to fix
Since
that.
about 1997.
Exactly. Exactly. But I believe the sound is clear if I'm not mistaken. So,
That would be awesome.
and Ded, she is drinking a fruit smoothie of her own concoction made with real con and cock and shun.
It's made with real cock. Good for you.
So it gives it the pink colour.
Just a little bit of pussy.
The energy drink? Yeah, I've seen that stuff.
Pussy's an energy
What kind
drink?
of fruit did you use?
Oh yeah, Google it if you disbelieve.
Lots of berries, mixed berries, blackberries, blueberries.
Ooh.
I used nectarines, little mandarin oranges, like all fresh, and some cranberry juice.
Very
Oh.
Oh, and a little bit of milk, and then earlier in the day, I ate a little bit. I added was it chai and flaxseed.
Nice.
And some alligator and beetle legs and eye of newt.
And no alcohol. I know, but I want to go swim with men half my age. I get in really good shape. Because men half my age just beat the shit out of anyone near them. And it'll be my defense. I'll be able to squirt like a squid if I need to.
That's dirty.
You made me ink.
And that's how the pool got closed. Touch the butts.
That's right, touch the butt. Baby shark doo 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 doo.
Baby shark do 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 do.
Oh, do it again.
So,
Baby shark. Do,
no,
do,
no,
do,
no.
do.
I said baby
Baby
shart.
Baby shart.
Do.
Wait, do it again.
Anyhow, so during bowling, Andrea has a very awesome style of bowling. And she proudly announced before we got there, I am granny bowling this thing the whole way through. And she did. And now, there was like 3 or 4 times she took it and threw it the regular way, but she held it in 2 hands, put it between her legs, and flung it down the aisle. Unlike Tom, who liked to throw it halfway down the aisle before it actually hit the wood. He was going for more of a dunk shot than, bowling.
But see, you have to do the hip thrust. He wasn't doing the hip thrust.
That's right. Why don't you tell us
So
about the
Elizabeth.
hip thrust?
Yeah, I didn't do any hip thrust.
I just spent I could bowl okay, but when I had to support my balance by hanging onto my left leg, that's when it went all over the place. I just given out.
Well, Chris didn't do it because he could bowl. He beat us all.
Chris brought his own ball and shoes. Oh, and towel.
Did he have the little chalk
You always
bag?
gotta take your towel.
I always got a towel.
By the way, bowling shoes have changed since I last went bowling. They're now like this
Yeah,
big Velcro flap.
Oh, they've been the Velcro flap for a long time.
because people don't know how to tie them.
It's been
My
even longer
bowling
since I
shoes
bowled.
that I brought are tied. First time I ever went bowling in them though, because I got them for a costume.
So-
Mine are also super old from the 90s. They, at one point, were blue and are suede, but now they're more gray and still suede, but
And sad.
Hi, Bob. How are you?
a little sad.
Did you see all the glares from the other side of the camera, Chris, when you went? They're super old from the 90s. And we all got these deadpan looks like,
What are you trying to say?
I mean, it's the early 90s, and most old people don't last that long. I was alive when these shoes were purchased, but
You were like,
probably not when they were made.
because they belonged to my father back in the day. But
Yeah, I was shocked, and I busted my butt a couple times. I hit my foot so hard on that little piece of wood that separated the back. I
yeah,
guess where we were sitting. I ripped the shoe. I don't know how I didn't break my foot. I just, so.
yeah,
And it wasn't even a shoe. It was just
Well,
What was
thank you,
that?
Bob.
the lanes were super short. Like the throw distance from where the ball return started to where the lane was, that distance there, where you would go before you walked off the.
well, this was not a
Super short.
professional bowling alley.
well, it didn't help us at all.
No.
It did not have milkshakes there.
No, that's why all the boars didn't come to the yard.
True story.
Their beer was okay. I was pleased. It wasn't like, yay, this is great beer. It was okay. I had two. I had a imperial stout and Samuel Adams seasonal. So cold snap.
Bob, thank you for the bits. Here's you, man. What are you drinking tonight, Bob?
Cheers, Bob.
It's no, it's a good time. Anybody else have anything else go on in the past 7 days?
Not that I
I
can
see.
discuss at this time.
I saw Mr. Glass or Glass. It's fun. It's fabulous. It's tension filled, slow paced, and then when it hits, it's just hang on. It's pretty wild. It was beautiful. It was fun. James McAvoy should win an Oscar for that performance. It was unbelievable. It was really good.
Wonderful.
And it's made almost over $250 million. Billion dollars, yeah. See, good writing can get you money.
That's
I
impressive.
guess he's considered a superhero, right? Or that's kind of considered a superhero movie.
Well, I watched some interviews, and I guess this is his version of attainable superheroism. As if people can't fly, people can't shoot lasers, but if you could, you know, push beyond the limits of human, but still be possibly human. So you just get pretty damn strong and fast and crazy smart. Yeah. No flying. It's fantastic, though. Just check it out.
No capes.
A lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
No capes.
No capes. No capes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was cool.
Guys, I'm gonna do something here real quick.
Well, put up a privacy
ready.
screen. God damn it.
I'm ready.
Well, I'm looking at the choppiness, and I'm wondering if it's fixable. And what I'm seeing is a lot of stuff that maybe shouldn't be open, and I'm wondering what's going on with this. So,
It's open.
Dun, dun, dun.
oh well, like under Task Manager, OBS has 11 things open, and
Yeah.
that might be dragging down the speed.
Maybe
Possibly.
just a bit.
So I'm going to try closing things. If suddenly we disconnect, bear with us, guys. We will be right back. But, yeah, I'm going to try to.
Is anyone familiar with Critical Role?
Yes. But
Yes.
never watched it. Just know what it is.
Gotcha. They started a Kickstarter campaign today to make a little animated short of one of their like adventures from when before they started streaming on Twitch.
Oh,
And their goal was $750,000 to make a 15-minute, little animated cartoon. It went live at noon Pacific, so 3 our time. So in the last 5.5 hours, it is now at $3 million pledged.
oh, I'm hearing that we need to do a short film. Let's do a Kickstarter. We might not do that much.
22,000 backers
Wow.
Wow.
in 5.5 hours.
No, the
I'll drink to that.
no, we shouldn't necessarily do
Okay.
a film because the bottom line is they have the audience to pull that kind of money. We're still working towards that goal.
Well, no, I mean, I just want to do a film,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the way to get money for it.
Are you serious?
What would a 15-minute animated talk of the Tavern be about?
What's 60 times 15? That many seconds. I have no idea what it'd be about. What would we do an animated film about, guys?
I don't know, but I'm
Yeah.
not drawing it.
If you're listening, tell us. Give us some ideas.
Toby said she's never heard of them. Can you explain who they are?
It started 5 years ago or so on the Geek and Sundry Twitch stream, and it's a bunch of voice actors who were playing a D&D game at home, and Felicia Day, who's the head producer of Geek and Sundry, was like, hey, why don't you come once a week and play your game on stream and, have some fun? So they did, and now every Thursday night it is the most watched stream on Twitch.
Which here's a
Yeah,
fun
sure.
fact. Our D&D game ends right about the same time theirs is starting. So if you are a Critical
True.
Role group fan, watch ours first and go straight over to theirs afterwards.
Yeah.
It works out great. And tell that to the other 500,000 people that watch them.
Yeah. So they started in the middle of their first campaign, somewhere around level 7 or 8 or so, and they got to 17 or 18 when the last campaign ended. I'm still a couple of episodes behind, so I don't know exactly how it ends, but I've seen some spoilers.
Okay,
And then this year they've started another campaign of new characters, which is also great.
You say they're voice actors, so are they like voice acting their characters while they're playing?
Yes, each
Oh.
character has its own voice.
Oh.
Some of the Travis Willingham, who's been the voice of Thor in most of the recent animated series. Let's see. Liam is the voice of Illidan Stormrage from World of Warcraft and a couple of other characters. Laura Bailey does the voice for Jaina Proudmoore in World of Warcraft. She's also done a couple of other things. Now I'm like blanking on all of the things that they all do.
That's okay. It's still a pretty impressive list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ashley Johnson, who's on Blind Spot, I think it is, on ABC. When she's not filming out in New York, she ends up being on the show.
Do they gather in the same room, or do they do it like us over the computer?
No, they sit in the same room around this really beautiful table that was custom made for them
Wonderful.
Oh, we did that.
by a place called Wormwood, and they do like ice boxes and
Oh, I'm
ice
familiar
towers,
with them, yeah.
and it's all really beautiful, very well handcrafted wood stuff.
Yeah, that name rings a bell with me as well.
Don't worry. One day, I'll have a room in my house that could fit a table, and I will unfold all four legs and unfold the chairs around them, and we'll game.
That'll be the next house.
And I might even get a piece of paneling so
One
it looks
day-
like a wooden
one day
table.
One day you'll all be on the town, all buying each other bottles of fucking whiskey and going into distilleries for tastings, and I'll actually be able to be there and join in rather than just hear about it days later.
Oh, we told you about it before, but you just went.
You know,
Whatever.
I'll go way up. You know, the travel costs.
Really, it's a bit exorbitant to fly in for that.
Just to pop over. Thai food, don't worry. Yeah, if you guys can hang on by about 18 hours, I'll come with.
So when you come here, we'll definitely have things like this happening, Kevin. So
Oh yeah.
there we go.
Well,
Let's
do
head.
they have drive-in theaters out there?
Kevin?
Here in the UK?
Well, around you.
No, I mean, no. It's not really a British thing. You do get occasionally, not so much drive-ins. You get open-air cinema, so that set up giant cinema screens in like a country park. British things, not so much going in the car, going with a picnic. People take those big candles you can stab into the ground on big tiki poles and spread out rugs with hampers and food and sit out and watch it in the open air and stuff, but not so much, don't really do the American drive-in thing where you all turn up in the car and stuff now.
When he comes over here, we have to do that whole American culture thing.
There we go. We'll give him a hamburger and tell him to shut the fuck up.
I was just going to say, following I'll do a British thing, we'll just go to the nearest bar and I'll headbutt someone for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the topic. Tonight's topic is superheroes played out. So to give a little background, not that it's not obvious what this is about, superheroes have become a huge cultural thing. They've been around for nearly 100 years in comic books, in movies shortly thereafter. We've had them for 70-plus years in movie theaters and in clips before movies. Now they're hot and heavy on TV, internet, movies, books, everywhere. But some people say they're tired of it. So let's talk about that. Has it played out, guys?
Yeah,
I
for
don't
me.
think so.
Okay, let's start with
Yeah.
Andrea. Go ahead, and then we'll go to Chris.
Yeah, it's played out for me. Back when it wasn't several times a year, it was once in a while. It was like a great thing to see superhero movies or shows. Now it's all the time, and I don't care for it anymore. It's because they're just throwing so much at you.
So is the quality going down in your opinion, or you just got too much of the same
I don't think
thing?
the quality's going down because there's more special effects and bigger name actors. I just don't care. It's just too much all the time.
And you, Chris?
Yeah, but I think that, now with the wide acceptance of superheroes and things that were once only a nerdy culture, like, not popular mainstream thing being in the mainstream. You're getting more inclusion to people who have felt like they have not been included in that sort of thing before. And there's a larger now increase in non-white male superheroes. And a lot more people are finding someone to look up to that they can relate to and feels relevant to them, which is great.
Kevin or Elizabeth? No thoughts?
Like,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, you have something? Okay.
I don't think it's reached the end of its moment, if you like, yet, but I think it's close to it, and I think it's probably a natural development with anything where there's this sudden flash in the pan latching onto anything cultural in terms of any art form, whether it's film, TV, painting, whatever it is. Eventually it becomes so popular and there's so much money to be made and work to be created out of it that you kind of reach this point where you're almost stagnated. It's not so much like you were saying a drop in the quality of what's being made. It's just that there's so much of it, it's impossible for you to watch all of it. You could literally now sit down on Monday morning at 9 o'clock in the morning and watch superhero stuff solidly all the way through to the same time the following week. That you get to the point where it's impossible to keep up with everything. Travis.
Sorry to interrupt. Des, good to see you. Thank you for the bits. Now, Des threw 100 bits, which actually ties him for number one. We have a new clean month. But he typed with it, sometimes I like to super glue my thumbs to my nipples and pretend I'm a T-Rex. I'd like the YouTube link, please. That is quite a visual. Kevin, I'm sorry to interrupt, but that was
That's fine.
worth it for that.
I think we're fast approaching the point where we're going to get oversaturated with superhero stuff, because it's no longer just superhero movies, it's superhero TV series, it's web series, it's anime series, it's become almost overload point. And I think inevitably we're going to tire of it and it's going to fold back in on itself. In a sense, you're going to reach this sort of level of entropy where even people who are fans of superheroes are tired of seeing it all the time. The reason we loved superheroes movies when they first came out is because we hadn't seen that kind of thing in the big screen, or at least not done well and with big budgets. We'd seen B-movie kind of level representation of superheroes, if you like. But this recent wave of movies gave us for the first time, wow, it's my favorite superhero on the screen, and there's this amazing, all these brilliant bits of cinematography, and finally he's been given some justice. Now it's got to the point where, like, it's just another superhero movie, and it's not new and it's not special. It's an everyday occurrence, and it's lost some of that magic. And I think just because of that, the movie-going public are going to stop going so much. The revenues will drop, and at the end of the day, a lot of these film studios, let's not kid ourselves, that they love the fact that there's already a lot of an established fan base out there, but they're not making these movies for them. They're making them for the bottom line, and when that bottom line disappears, so will these movies.
Yeah, and I mean, I definitely am not saying that is not a problem, because I myself have yet to see Infinity War, and it's right there on Netflix. I can watch it at any time. I just
I haven't seen it either.
Around to it.
Okay. I have a few thoughts also.
Sure.
First of all, I've always felt like superhero movies were our modern westerns. You have somebody outside society that still wants to help them, whether it's a group or lone, and everything is cyclical. We had 20 years of westerns that were very popular through the, 60s and 70s, and then they kind of died out in the 80s, and this is just that comeback. One interesting thing I have found is we actually now have, at least from what I'm seeing and thinking about it briefly, we have more superhero content, especially on TV, but also in the theaters, than we have sci-fi content. And that's kind of an amazing thing for me to realize, because sci-fi has been around and been popular for a long time. But yeah, I think it will wane a bit, and I think DC is helping that, not through any fault, just because of what they have to live up to.
Well, Oh no, I see what Chris has said. Yeah, people are finding more superheroes that they can connect with, the people that didn't before, and that's great. But also, like what Kevin said, yeah, it's just everywhere, and you get overwhelmed, and you're like, okay, no.
Especially
wonder
when
if-
you're seeing the same 5 superheroes over and over and over again.
Well, it's
over and
funny
over
you
and
should
over
say
again.
that. Yeah, I was just going to say, and I don't want to belittle what you said because I agree with you. I think it's
Then
a great
Elizabeth.
thing that more people are finding superheroes they identify with. But I wonder if there's a correlation between that and the fact that all the major superheroes have been done to death. And so now to produce new content, we're seeing a lot more films and series that are going into what before you might have referred to as lesser characters.
B-list.
You know, yeah, kind of. Not to be unkind to them, you know, not that they don't all have great backstories.
It's okay, they're not
comic
real.
depth of their own. Yeah, yeah. You know where I'm coming from. Not to be disrespectful to their fans, rather than say a Captain America fan. You know, they've both got equal validity in terms of being a fan of comics.
Let's give
But
Elizabeth.
yes, sorry.
I want to give Elizabeth a chance. First, I want to read a couple comments, if I may, Elizabeth. And I also want to ask you about the writing quality. Gary says it's being played out. It's played out for the time being and probably for a long while. It's just saturated now. Bob feels we need new porn star superheroes like Captain Jizz. Gary
There
says
already is, Bob.
there is. It's you, Bob.
Clear-
You're our porn
Clearly, Bob is
superhero.
not exercising his rule 34.
Elizabeth, what are your thoughts? And I'm curious your thoughts on the writing quality of the movies that are coming out now
Okay.
versus 10 years ago or 30 years ago.
Well, let me start. Okay, I agree. I get to a point where everything is diluting upon itself, and I find that the constant superheroes all the time on every channel, everywhere I look, it gets boring. It does. It's just too much. It's like a fire hose. It's just okay. Also, it is fun for people to latch on to heroes. It's very common. They're like living myths per se. You know, instead of whispering about Hercules around the fire, you know, we get to see our comic heroes or even new heroes on the screen, which in itself is a whole experience. And I was having a conversation with the producer the other day, well, a friend from high school. And I was suggesting that even a movie that is bad is a separate issue. Sometimes bad movies help an audience have an incredible experience. And then we were talking about discussions for another time. Okay, so I do address it. I think why a part of them are boring is because we know that they are now molded into a structure. Like we knew Avengers Infinity War was coming. We now have several other Marvel movies going on where Spider-Man goes and does this and that. Well, you know they're not going to die. Or if they die, they come back because they're already 3 movies down in filming. So suddenly there's no risk. And in terms of writing, what the hell do you do with it? Like Guardians of the Galaxy 2? Well, it's just kind of a fun thing, you know. And that affects the writing because it's the structure that's creating. And you kind of start feeling like a little pig, little cash cow, you know. But that's the business. I like superheroes, but I think superheroes are just heroes. And heroes fit perfectly in film because heroes can do what we physically can't do or what we wish we could do morally or in society. You know, they can make good changes. They can get the girl or the guy or whatever, you know. And very often we're kind of out of control in our life. And so it's easy to reach out for heroes. I agree with Chris. It is fun to see all different types of heroes coming out. But I'm always, as an artist, worried when I see certain racial profiles or types always buying that type of music or that type of film. I can only identify, if I could only identify with someone that looked like me, 6'1", white woman, I guess that's Wonder Woman, that's all I got. You know, I identify with the humans. And growing up, Black Panther was one of my favorites because he was a cat and he was a gymnast and he could swing and he had cloth. So cool. And the Phantom. But I think people liking looking at heroes is a good thing. And I think it's a bad thing because I think also that society isn't providing those heroes or society isn't acknowledging those heroes in our everyday lives. And that's not for this show. That's my response.
I would.
Well, and I think because of our current political climate and the unrest that is across the country, people are looking for that big and super someone to come and save the day instead of actually doing something about it themselves. And like I feel like that is playing into why it's been so popular right now. But I also think, again, like what Travis was saying, things are cyclical. It's going to fall out, just like how in the early to mid 2000s it was all about vampires and zombies. Like everything was vampire and zombies. And like, while yes, The Walking Dead is still going on now, like it's not a new zombie movie or a new, vampire movie. It's not coming out, every year for 5-6 years. We've moved on from that and went into superheroes,
It's never going to end. It's never going to end.
What, Andrea?
I'm sure we'll come back around when, the next great zombie thing happens.
Andrea?
Superhero zombies.
Right.
Marvel.
Flying zombies with laser beams for us.
Guys, let Andrea have a say, please.
No, I was just saying, thank goodness, because I'm tired of Twilight.
Thank God.
With the smaller superheroes, whether it's especially with the TV series, I'm ready for the big heroes, which everybody has a certain concept of: Batman and Superman and Spider-Man and Avengers. But some of these lesser known heroes, they can tell very personal stories, very complex stories, because people don't have a lot of expectation for these. So when I'm thinking the Cloak and Dagger TV series was very good with the dichotomy of good versus evil, black versus white, not racial, just, the solid, this is good, this is evil, and the gray in between. And so I think as the popularity and the money falls off, we'll still, like Walking Dead, keep a few gems because they're just quality productions. And Toei says, by the way, she said, I've come back just like a superhero. But she says zombie and vampires are still very hot in Asian cinema and TV.
Well, animated films have been doing this in Japan and overseas for decades. They've been having trilogies and whole series, and you go to the theater and you watch an animated film, and it is still art. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, I like nothing better than turning on Netflix and having 6 to 10 episodes, which is actually one long movie. They make it episodic, so you have an arc in each individual episode. But the whole storyline across those 6 or 12 episodes it's just wonderful. And
I like to call them a day off.
Yeah, exactly. And you can watch it in a day off. Or you could watch it over a matter of weeks and still enjoy.
My friend said this the other day. He said basically Netflix has become the new Star Wars trilogy, and by that he meant you used to get together as mates and do like, oh, yeah, we're going to watch all 3 Star Wars movies back when there were only 3. All 3 Star Wars movies back to back in one day, and watch, more recently, all of the Lord of the Rings movies. Now we'll all get together and we'll binge watch a Netflix series in a day,
Yeah.
Which we've actually discussed doing that.
That'd be cool. Well, you could do that, couldn't you? Just stick it on a big screen somewhere, have a themed party in conjunction with whatever show you're watching. It's not a bad idea.
If a theme party means only inviting 2 or 3 people because the rest are annoying, yes.
Baby shark.
And we'll talk while you're trying to watch whatever.
Exactly.
Themed small gathering.
Despicable Me 3.
Some friends of mine tried to throw a viewing party when season 2 of Game of Thrones came out, and there was like 15 of us. They had cooked a big Game of Thrones themed dinner, and we all had dinner. We all sat down to watch it, and there was that one person who hadn't seen any of it, who was trying to talk through the whole thing, going wait, what's going on? And yeah, it was.
And that's
my wife.
It was bad.
And that's when you go, I'm sorry, the talking room is in the kitchen. We'll wait here. Go Google it.
Sin bin.
We have a rule in this house. Well, it's not a rule. It makes it sound too strict. But if I say to my wife, "This one's a no talking one," That means I specifically really, really like this film or this series, or have wanted to see this for a long time, so don't do what you normally do. Normally I will tolerate it because I know she's just one of those people. She'll pay zero attention for the first 20 minutes, potter around making a cup of tea, miss all the setup, then spend the rest of the time asking me who everyone is and what they're doing. And normally I'll tolerate it because it's one of those little things you do when you love each other and you can't stab each other and get away with it. But yeah, occasionally I'll have to go, this one, yeah, this is a non-talking one.
Yeah, and that's fair. Andrea and I do that also.
She's cool with that, though. She takes no offense.
The nice thing about at home is if it's... Go ahead, Andrea.
I was going to say, speaking of stabbing and getting away with it, the Orville. That is all.
It's one of the species in Orville. The way they divorce is they stab their spouse. They kill them. And that was a good
like the
episode.
praying mantis of intergalactic species.
Yeah, it's but
I don't necessarily disagree with that.
I never watch a movie with my dad that I have not already seen, at least at home. Like, if we're going out to see a movie, it's fine. But if we're, like, sitting at home in the living room, he's like, oh, I've seen this great movie. Have you seen it? I was like, no, I'd love to see it. He'll talk through the whole thing and ask me questions like I know what's going on with other characters. I'm like, I don't know. I'm watching it for the first time with you. So from now on, I just, like, I will not watch anything that I haven't already seen that I can't instantly answer his annoying questions about who things are and what's going on and why these people are doing this.
apparently Chris's dad is 14 years old.
I do sometimes feel, I feel your pain. Sometimes when I'm watching a movie with my wife, I feel like I should have a whiteboard next to the screen with a laser pointer. And I'm like, okay, stop, pause it, pay attention to the family tree. Right, as you'll note here.
Andrea and I will, not only will we agree on no talking movies, but we'll agree on pause movies. So if we saw it in the theater, when we watch it a second time at home, we hold the remote the whole time so we can pause and discuss a scene or make
I
a
usually
quick...
have commentary.
Yeah. It's, so, yeah, I think it's perfectly fair to agree on what level of talking is okay during this. Umbrella Academy is turning out okay. It's interesting characters and good foreshadowing and everything.
Have you watched it, Elizabeth?
Oh, so boring. And I just hated that one character. I just wanted her to die.
I'm torn. I didn't want to watch it, not because I had anything against it, just because there's still a whole bunch of other shit I haven't caught up with yet. And then I went up to see Kirk the other evening, and him and Love just started watching it, and I walked in just at the end of episode 1, so I was seeing episodes 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm kind of intrigued enough to what happens with the story, but then I'm going to have to see it through the end, so...
For me, that was the whole way through. I was just sick of watching it.
True, what I heard as well. One of the writers on it is the guy from My Chemical.
I have no idea.
I think so. Pretty sure I read that
Yes,
somewhere. The guy who's the vocalist.
And showrunner, it was the lead singer from My Chemical Romance.
Oh, rock on. Wow, he's good then. He got something good. Awesome. My favorite character is Ben, and you'll meet him eventually. I think they talked about him.
We have seen episode 1 and 2. He's in episode 2.
Yeah, oh, he's just like this beautiful thing. Ah, he is.
It's so what could they? Here's what I want to ask. What's your favorite superhero movie? And I'm gonna throw this out here. The original Superman with Christopher Reeve. That movie, because it kind of opened up the superhero genre starting in the late 70s. And I think one of my favorite scenes is when he rescues the cat from the tree. Just because that is a classic superhero thing that I think they redid it, and they had Spider-Man rescue a cat at one point in time in one of their movies. It's what about you guys? What's your number one superhero movie?
I like that scene from Superman, the one you were talking about, where he catches the helicopter and it falls off the roof, and he says, "Don't worry, I got you." And she says, "If you've got me, who's got you?" And whoosh. and they show him holding the helicopter, and it's not, computerized. It's an actual helicopter.
Right.
I loved it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the effects have changed, that's for sure, and the way they did things in that, because I think that movie still stands the test of time, and this is why DC had a hard time. People are still stuck on Superman 1 and Superman 2, and the rest of those movies we just don't need to talk about.
I like, if I may, just one more, I don't know if that's my favorite superhero movie, but that tone is my favorite of almost all the superhero movies.
You mean the heroic hero?
With Christopher Reeves,
Right.
Superman. He was gentle, and he was sincere, and he was incredibly strong, and could change time, but he struggled with staying that, and he was always that. That was his core, and I don't think any other hero has really had that humanity to them. Or even, he was a hero as a human, and then he was a hero because he had superpowers. How about that?
Yep.
Superman's not human.
I meant his humanity.
We know what you meant.
Okay.
She's teasing you. So what about you guys? You got a favorite? And I guess we could even include like a
that I have a
Netflix
favorite.
series in here too.
Nobody? There's two I really like. Because, well, I like Kick-Ass,
Yeah.
because that seems plausible. Yeah. I like the whole Incredible. I like Incredibles.
That's a good one.
Because of family and they work together. I like those.
Yeah, I'd have to go with The Incredibles out of any of them. Now that you say that, it is my favorite Pixar movie.
Wynn says Black Mask 1996 with Jet Li is her favorite.
I haven't seen that in a while.
There are some out there I'd like to see him redo. Phantom
Like the
comes
Green Lantern?
yes, that. But
I thought that it was a good choice with Ryan Reynolds being the Green Lantern, and the CGI was not that bad for what they were trying to do. The story was sad in that they were like, ooh, we've got this cool new, CGI technology. Let's try and do this. Oh crap, we forgot to put in a good story. Well, we'll just kind of squish it here at the end. And yeah, it made me sad that it wasn't better, because I love the Green Lantern and I love Ryan Reynolds and I just want it done right.
Oh.
I understand.
Green Lantern is one of my top 5 heroes. And I love Ryan Reynolds. I don't think he was right for that role, because they also tried to make it very comedic. And though Green Lantern is cocky, I don't feel like he's comedic.
No, they did it right with Deadpool, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, I like the Green Lantern animated stuff.
Yeah.
Kevin?
Yeah, I was going to mention Deadpool just because I can't really pick a favourite, but there are superhero movies that you like you were saying about the bit about Superman with the way they portray the character and stuff, where it's not necessarily it's my favourite movie, but I like the way they did that thing or that thing. And the thing about Deadpool was that was a really tricky superhero to bring to the screen, because in order to be Deadpool and not just another guy in a red suit, he had to have that irreverence. They had to carry the sense of humor across. It had to carry all the comedic gore and stuff. And I just thought they translated the character really well.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing I was going to say was, let me flip your question back on you then. What's the one superhero movie that was god-awful when they made it, like Green Lantern maybe or whatever, that you would like to see remade then?
Phantom?
Elektra. such a good story, such a terrible movie.
Electro?
You're not wrong.
Electra.
Oh, I was going to
Electra.
say, yeah, Electro, yes.
The third X-Men movie with Dark Phoenix, which they are remaking, and it comes out this year. Well, they're not remaking it; they're retelling it.
Rebooting the same time story.
Right. It's what about you?
Yeah,
Elizabeth?
because that was just so kind of brushed over, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. It's
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Talk about nice. As I remember, I was 5 and I saw Flash Gordon. We were in England at Upper Hayford, and it was the old ones, the black and white ones, and I fell in love with that. You know, he wouldn't just get tied up and then whipped, which happened occasionally. I remember one time he was in a tank, and Ning wanted someone to say something in the water. They were filling the tank with water, and then that wasn't bad enough. He was going to drown. They sent a squid in the water. He was going to get. I mean, it's fabulous, right? And then they did the remake, right, where Queen did the album, which you'll never beat.
Right.
Never.
That was one.
Legendary. Just any film that has Brian Blessed in automatically gets a free pass.
I think Flash Gordon is great for the cheese factor. It's not a good movie, but
Okay,
it's
here's a weird fact for you. Okay, so you remember the scene where they have the weird tree trunk thing, and to prove the test of loyalty, they have to put the
scariest scene in the movie.
Okay, the dude who dies in that scene is Peter Duncan, who was a presenter on Blue Peter.
Oh, really?
Yes, really.
Oh, that was what's that? And he did it with James Bond. I mean, he was there, and Timothy Dalton became James. Excuse me, became James Bond.
Well, not Timothy Dalton. Timothy Dalton isn't the guy he's talking about.
One of my favourite lines in a movie ever is in Flash Gordon.
What line is that?
It's just because of the casualness it's delivered with. So they've just rescued Dr. Zarkov and they're making their escape. And they come to a locked door with a number pad that they're trying to get through. Zarkov's tapping away whilst they're frantically watching behind his back. And the door slides open and just nonchalantly he goes, "Nah, I knew it'd be one of the prime numbers of the Zeman series." Like it was the most natural thing in the world. It's just the delivery of the line. It slayed me the first time I saw it, and it still gets me every time.
Toei says Catwoman was horrible.
Says,
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say
They're
that.
going to say it again in case we were talking over each other.
I was going to say, Toei said Catwoman was horrible. Think about it. Yeah, because I forgot.
Oh, you know what? We are running over time. It is 2 minutes till 9. Anybody need a break?
Dun, dun, dun.
This Week in History starts in 2 minutes. Go ahead,
I
Elizabeth.
could do with a drink to wet the old whistle.
Very good. I'm going to get up.
And Bob, send me a link for that one now.
Oh, yeah. Bob and his Captain Boner versus the binary anal dwarves.
That sounds like a D&D adventure, not superhero.
I'll make a note of that, Andrea.
No.
Guess what's happening Thursday, Chris? Thank goodness we already have dwarves available.
I'll
I
actually.
don't want to go down that hole anymore.
It's now, just so everybody who's viewing knows, thank you for all the subscriptions and keeping up the subscriptions. Really appreciate that, as well as throwing bits. As I said, it's a brand new month, brand new chance to be number one on the bit throwing, as well as the donations that you can see scrolling across the screen there. Keep in mind, donations could be any amount, not just those incredible amounts that others have given us. And also, don't forget that you can follow us on Discord and chat with us during the week. You can share the stream so other people come in. You can support on Patreon or buying merchandise, etc., etc. And we appreciate most of all you guys just showing up each week. That's the most important thing, and we appreciate that. Now, I've got to pop over here and grab a pipe cleaner real quick. So I'm not going far, but I am standing up.
You got to do near and far.
Near.
Oh.
Near.
Beer and bar? That sounds great. Oh, there's
I think our next outing is going to be in April
Uh-huh.
at the drive-in theater.
We have to tell Toey about that because she's not too
Hey,
far
Toey.
from it and goes quite often.
April. Well, because that's, for mine and Elizabeth's birthday,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to do that weekend.
Hopefully it's warm weather so we can sit outside and enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. And I'd like to go to the zoo.
Not at the drive-in theater. A different zoo.
No. That'll be like the next day.
Um,
We're not sure yet.
probably the 27th. But we're checking on that. It's that
We're going
is
to see what's playing.
that's
I
true
want to
too.
go there. I want to go to the zoo because I need to touch a giraffe.
Woman arrested today as she leapt into the giraffe pen and chased one down, tackled it to the ground, and hugged it.
Try
It's
to put it in my pocket, bring it home.
okay. Put it
Petite
in.
lap giraffe.
Okay. So let's see. Well, we'll wait for Kevin to get back, at least, because I know he has things for this week in history.
Are you going to do the music when he gets back or now?
We're going to do it when he gets back, I guess. It's,
Maybe we'll hear it this time?
I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on, so I don't know. It's. I noticed I wasn't hearing sounds when bits were being thrown either, so there could be a problem with Twitch. Let's
Yeah.
do the intro music. Here we go. You hear it?
This week
And
in history.
Okay, for this week in history, since we don't have Ed, we're going to do the round robin version that we like to do. So, Andrea, did you have something you want to start with?
give me 1 second, I gotta pull it up.
Okay.
Yes. And alright, in 1922, the first vampire film Nosferatu premieres.
Oh, good pick.
Which I thought that was cool. It's not a superhero, but it goes along with this.
Is that Jake, Elizabeth? I don't know if she has her earphones in. I don't know if she can hear us.
I don't think she
Is
does.
that Jake
She's
or
on mute.
Deuce? Which one is that, Andrea? Jake or Deuce?
Yes.
Oh, excellent. It's,
It's a cat.
so, how many of us have actually seen the movie Nosferatu?
The old black and white one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the whole movie.
The silent
Is it,
film
the,
with just
is it the Boris Karloff one?
I think so, yeah.
I haven't seen it.
I
It
have
might be
seen
on Netflix.
I've seen the
Sorry.
one with Eddie Izzard where he plays the actor who played in it.
I have not seen that. That sounds interesting.
Okay.
One of my
Toby
favorite.
saw it.
One of my favorite musical artists is in a vampire movie.
Oh, who's that?
Gary Oldman's Bram Stoker's Dracula, with Gary Oldman is Dracula.
Right.
Renfield, the mad guy in the asylum, is Tom Waits, the musician.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right. That's the version of Dracula I think I talked about a bit ago, about how the special effects they used in the film were an ode to the special effects used at
Yes.
that time. Like, yeah. So, yeah, yay. Dracula.
Elizabeth, have you seen the original Nosferatu movie from 1928?
Yes. German expressionism. Fucks you up every time.
Does it?
The German.
Okay.
Oh, vampires were scary as hell and not at all romantic. Ugh.
They're supposed to be monsters, aren't they?
Yes.
Not our anti-heroes.
Yes.
So, who else has something for this week in history?
Oh, sorry.
Today, March 4th, 1933, FDR was inaugurated as our 32nd president.
Yay! Cool. Presidents. Thank you.
Sorry, I'll be within a sec. I'm just crossing that one off my list.
It was in the middle of the Great Depression. You know.
Good times.
Oh,
My
yeah.
grunge years.
By the way, Wynn
It's
says
amazing.
Wynn says the original director wanted to make an ugly vampire to counter the romanticism that permeated the Dracula-style vamps in theater and novels. I'd like to see somebody do that again.
They did it a little bit on Buffy when it first started.
They did.
Remember? Their nails would be long and they'd kind of have silver eyes. It was weird. Like more makeup rather than, CG.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I would like to see?
What?
Because think about it, vampires are dead and they're rotting flesh. Who wants to kiss that? I want someone to get near a vampire and be like, oh, what died? Brush your teeth, you know?
I haven't seen a dentist in 250 years. Look like you're British.
British vampires have double
You a
jeopardy.
vampire.
So what do you have, Kevin?
This week in 1987, the worst maritime ferry disaster in British history, the Townsend Torrison ferry disaster. 193 people died when a public ferry from the UK pulling on its way to Zeebrugge capsized. In a space of around 5 minutes, there was a massive technical failure with one of the vehicle loading doors, which opened wide and allowed sea to gush in, overbalanced the weight of the ship, and the entire vessel capsized on its side in less than 5 minutes. Nearly 200 people died. Well, there you go. There's a nice little cheerful opener for you.
Very good. It's all caused by a vampire.
So these were car ferries with the ramps at either end like this. Immediately afterwards, the phrase was coined around British schools in the playground that Townsend Torrison's motto was "roll on, roll off, roll over." The typical sympathy of the school age. Who's next?
Andrew, do you have another one?
Okay. All right. It says, on this day in 1452, Leonardo da Vinci was born. And because he has actually made relatively few screen appearances, and yeah, so you're just gonna have to settle for Hudson Hawk, the famously disastrous caper comedy in which Bruce Willis is a master burglar on a mission to stop evil plot to take over the world by reconstructing some of Da Vinci's more powerful inventions.
If you guys
So that's
have
how that ties in.
If you guys have not seen Hudson Hawk, it is a great fun movie that critics hated.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah. Or I was going to say, didn't Stars, the people who made Spartacus, didn't they make a Da Vinci series?
They did.
Sure, I remember seeing something with him creating magical clockwork creatures for royalty and stuff.
Andrew enjoyed that one.
Oh,
I think
like
I
it.
didn't watch all of it. Didn't they tie it into all the political intrigue with the Medicis and all the rest of that?
It did.
It was really good. I liked it.
Leonardo da Vinci
Da Vinci.
had quite a sense of humor and was known for practical jokes and such, but they would be very artful. And one of the things he had running around in his one of his studios, he had painted a lizard silver and made it little dragon wings. It was running around. Fabulous.
Kevin,
I got one.
Oh, go ahead, Elizabeth.
All right, this is a divorce. In 1960, Lucille Ball files divorce from Desi Arnaz.
Oh. And that's controversial because they didn't really do that then.
Big time.
Yeah, and the result was we never heard from Desi again, and Lucille Ball went on. So yeah,
Everyone knew who the talent was. So, no offense.
pretty much.
But they both worked hard and made a great show.
They did, and their comedy definitely stands the test of time. I think we could rewatch episodes now and still have a good laugh. It's a timeless comedy is hard to do. Anybody else have any comments on Lucy and Des?
Hey, Lucy.
Okay. Chris, you got anything?
Let's see. The March 5th, 1963, the hula hoop was patented and sold an estimated 25 million hula hoops in its first 4 months of production.
Wow. That's some marketing.
Yeah.
I have a friend who makes a living out of it.
Whammo Company.
Wham.
My upstairs bedroom at the moment is rented out as storage space and currently contains over 300. I shit you not, only in my house.
I have 6 of
Behind
them.
the store, giant snakes. In here, 300 hula hoops. Welcome to my house. It's perfectly normal. Take a seat. Or someone feels it's something random.
That's
The
my
Whammo
robe.
Company also created the Frisbee
Huh?
and what was the other thing?
Yo-yo.
A
Was
collection
it
of
log?
slingshots.
Hmm?
Log. It's big, it's heavy, it's.
That was Blammo.
It's better than bad. It's good.
Indeed. So how many of us have had a hula hoop of their own?
A log.
I have like 6 of them right there that I made, and I have tons of them. There's some on the
I've never
floor.
had
Yeah,
my.
we made a
I've,
lot
nev-
of things
I've never
out of
owned.
that.
Yeah, I've never owned a hula hoop, but my wife and my daughter each have their own hoop. Gene are hula hooping made.
I don't think I ever remember being able to do it. I mean, maybe when I was really young, hopefully. I don't know.
I have only played with other people's hoops. I've never owned my own. For good reason.
I was determined to learn a few years ago before I left for New York, and I bought a hula hoop. And then I think my mother said, well, good luck. It's much too small for you. And it's not like I couldn't fit into it, but apparently it helps if you have one proportional to the, I guess, footage
I'll
you're
make
trying
you
to
one.
sway.
I'll make you one.
I went into a dollar store once and bought 75 because we were trying to make a giant hoop skirt for, you know, in the Nutcracker, the giant lady and all the children come out from her skirt.
Mhm.
No, anyone?
Yeah, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we needed hula hoops and we broke them apart at the one end and connected them together to make the giant concentric rings, and then they were on a large pair of stilts. So,
How big was it, you think?
the
Even
bottom
my
ring
phone.
had a like 9.5 foot diameter.
That's pretty big.
So,
Holy
Yeah.
cow.
Well
and there
done,
were-
sir.
like 6 tiers, I think, of hoops that went up through the skirt. It weighed like a ridiculous amount
I'm
with
sure.
all the fabric ones they put on it.
I'm sure.
Couple
And
of
I think
comments. Go ahead.
the person wearing it when they were on their stilts stood 11 feet or so. I
Oh
think
my God.
their final height. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
That's very cool, though. Lady Skipper says Hudson Hawk was about a man's quest for the perfect cup of cappuccino.
Yes.
And Wynn says that she's owned a hula hoop, and there's a photo of her as a kid with one. And apparently she looked at it and she says, "Aw, my 1967 hula hoop photo is adorable." It's good when we can recognize ourselves as adorable.
I do right now.
Huh? That's right. Your hair is adorable right now.
Yeah, a
You
little
got the
lopsided
belly
though.
buttons going.
Yeah. Okay.
You want more history?
Yeah, who else has something?
I have one more if you want it.
Sure.
I got a couple more.
Okay.
On this day, 1865, Abraham Lincoln died after being shot in the head.
Oh,
This is why you don't go to the theater, folks.
One time, and no one wants to go to the theater anymore.
Well, if he had
that's the
taken
joke.
off,
We'll be
If he had taken off that damn hat, the person behind him wouldn't have got that pissed.
Well, that always leads to the ultimate punchline, you know, like, well, besides that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play?
There's one of my favorite Family Guy short skits is the actors who were in the play and they're looking in the paper to find the review of the play. And they're like, come on, all right, Lincoln again, next paper. What did they say about the play?
Okay, that'd be pretty accurate, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, Chris, what's another one from you?
Let's see. March 6th, 1899. Bayer patents aspirin.
Oh. Yay.
Yeah, that's, I'm
You
thinking
need that when you watch too many movies.
Mm.
They are the inventors of the willow tree.
That's not Whammo? Because the Whomping Willow?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, because that's where aspirin comes from.
Yeah,
It is.
willow bark, isn't it?
From the Whomping Willow. When you have that really
No,
Found a
Pounded.
way to
pounded...
create a stable form of the drug that was easier and more pleasant to take.
What was it before?
Yeah.
Presumably just chewing on a piece of willow bark or some kind of, you know, herbal tea infusion of willow bark.
It's not very good.
That's why beavers never have headaches.
I imagine taking it orally in a tea would have side effects on the digestive system. I mean, that's what they're hinting.
Well, that's why if you drink herbal teas or have supplements, you got to be careful with what's in it because that's like a blood thinner.
Yep.
So.
Yep. By the way, Lady Skipper says, quote, "My wife is making me go to a play. Somebody shoot me." End quote. Abe Lincoln.
One time they listen.
That's right.
That's funny.
Any more aspirin comments? Kevin, do
More aspirin?
you have another?
I have several.
Oh, very good. Carry
What's
on.
next on the list? This week in 1954, the explosion at Hiroshima is as the US detonates a hydrogen bomb test at Bikini Atoll in the Pacific. Because fuck the Pacific and their fish.
Yeah.
Bikini Adams.
Bikini Atoll.
They told.
Oh.
Who is Bikini Adams? That sounds like a porn star, and also an unlikely place, therefore, to have tested a nuclear bomb.
That's where
That sounds like a
SpongeBob lives.
That sounds like a great TV show. Bikini Adams.
That's a superhero.
Bikini Adams, chesty detective.
Absolutely.
Oh, I was
Never
thinking
was.
it was a guy.
So fabulous. I could just see it running.
I mean, they're still finding radiation today in the coral that's still growing there.
Yeah, the French did a lot of their nuclear testing in the Pacific as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hula hoop photo alert.
Oh.
Hello, photo.
In Twitch, I'm grabbing it, pulling it up, whipping it out.
Oh, look at it! It's adorable.
I'm still waiting
it's a tiny
for it. Tiny Toey.
Toey.
Oh,
That's great.
I only see her from the eyeballs up.
1987 as well.
67. Oh, sorry. Maybe it's still. Oh, it's still loading. Okay. Yeah, I think I had that
I
shirt.
hit somewhere on the page, and I'm looking at this is Asian
Why is
dating
it not?
site.
Asian dating.
I'm trying to get it to focus on that. Boop. I didn't see it. What? That's the Asian dating site. Good for you.
Warning, you will see private photos. Please be discreet. Oh my god.
Please.
We all know why Elizabeth gets that ad.
Why?
Damn cookies.
Girl Scout cookies?
Here we go.
That's
Here
your
we
trouble, Elizabeth. Always looking for Mr.
Oh.
Wong.
Oh, that's a great photo of her.
Well, if she can't look for Mr. White,
Not
that'd
the
be racist.
Asian women.
Oh,
That's
wait a
a
minute.
loop.
What's Tony Toey?
What else you got, Chris?
I love the wrapping paper. That's cool.
Well, I love the fact that there's 3 presents instead of 50.
Oh, one's clothing because it's that kind of box shape.
You
Very
always
true.
get socks and underwear, right?
Yeah, I always knew that. I didn't like the clothing. I just wanted toy.
I
So what's
miss
your-
the socks.
What's your next one, Chris?
Yeah, the present that you hated the most as a kid is the present you're always the happiest to get as an adult. Ooh, new socks!
Or the new video game. Either one.
Yeah.
Oh, the hula hoop matches her shirt too. How fabulous is that?
Wasn't easy to plan. No, you must wear this today.
Well, you should see the next photo. Did you?
You hated math
not a hula
books
hoop.
as a kid. Your parents would buy you math books as presents, not punishment?
Your parents could afford a math book?
You had parents?
Yeah, Andrea's parents couldn't afford math books because they were bad at math in the first place. Never mind, let's move on. Chris, what else you got?
My last one is March 7th, 1876. Alexander Graham Bell patents the telephone.
Yeah.
Yay!
What year was that?
Regret now.
What year?
Yeah.
1876.
130 years later, people were enslaved by them.
Well, we have a tiny computer in our pocket.
It's a gateway for anyone to get to.
And what's another one for you there, Kevin?
I've got in 1980, the newly formed country of Zimbabwe elected as its prime minister Robert Mugabe,
Really?
which worked out really well for them.
I'm so glad you chose things that we can have a discussion about.
Look,
I would like to just discuss Bobby.
well, the alternative was I went back to 1965 when police attacked civil rights protesters in Selma, Alabama. Yeah, we'll move on again. 1966, John Lennon outrages Christians by claiming that the Beatles are bigger than God.
God.
Well, they sold more records.
I watched the BBC News clip earlier. One of the places I got some of this stuff from was a highlight reel of the BBC series This Week in History. And they had a little clip of Lennon being interviewed by the British press afterwards, and he just went, "It'll be like a lot of things. Be all right in the end." Just completely nonchalant, didn't care at all.
He's not wrong.
2 others, both of which were on this day in history. In 1789 was the first session ever of the US Congress.
Hey.
Of 22 senators and 59 representatives called up for 11 states, only 9 senators and 13 representatives showed up.
Keeping tradition alive.
That's right. We've got the same kind of percentage nowadays.
I thought you were going to say, and to this day, still only half the work has been done.
Huh? Joey says held in New York.
And
Last? Mm-hmm.
my last, but by no means least, of course, in 1952, Ronald Reagan marries Nancy Davis, real name Anne Frances Robbins, at the Little Brown Church in the Valley.
In the Valley of Death. What?
Very good. Shall we move on to birthdays and deaths?
Sure.
Aww.
We'll start with the dead people, which some of these are further back than the previous week. And none of them are from the upcoming week. So, today, actually, Luke Perry, age 52, died of a massive stroke. So that would be Beverly Hills 90210, Riverdale.
And Riverdale.
And also Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Still a classic thanks to Pee Wee Herman's death scene.
Oh, yes. The best.
Now, Kevin, I put this one in for you because I thought maybe because it doesn't hold a lot for me, but Keith Flint,
Mm-hmm.
the lead singer of
Yeah.
Prodigy,
Frontman for the Prodigy.
yeah, he at age 49 committed suicide.
So it appears, yeah. I mean, the details are still coming out, but it's kind of looking that way. But yeah, hard-living guy, very, very strong party guy, but also musically very talented. And for a long while before the Prodigy really hit mainstream, was considered to be, along with the rest of the group, kind of on the cutting edge of underground dance music in the UK. And then they had cross-platform appeal as well. I've seen the Prodigy perform at metal festivals, and the crowd absolutely loved them. So live, they had a great energy to the act that went beyond the fact that there was a lot of sort of synthesized beats behind their music.
Right.
So,
I
yeah,
use them to
very
write
sad.
to because it's just good music to write to. It's following that, somebody who's
What was the
slight.
name of the group again?
The Prodigy,
The Prodigy. Okay.
It's Catherine.
Breathe, Firestarter. We go way back earlier than that. For years, Charlie Says would be an early one. It's a good one to start.
And following that, Catherine Hellman, at age 89, died February 23rd of complications of Alzheimer's. And she was from Soap, the TV show, as well as Who's the Boss. Played a wonderful ditzy woman.
James Woods tweeted about her, and I guess they were both in theater in New York when they were very young, early in their careers, and they were both awarded a scholarship. And he said, you know, for years they would see each other at events and always give them, you know, nod to each other, knowing, remembering where they started from.
Nice, nice.
Nice.
Yeah. And she was delightful. Lovely. I have never met her, but I loved her on-screen presence, especially Soap.
Yeah, definitely on Soap. I have the whole series on DVD, but I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We have it all, yeah.
That might be a fun
Ooh.
group activity. It's especially Billy Crystal's character.
I'll bring the cake. The Pound Me Too cake.
And the last death I have, it was more of a curiosity than anything. Clark James Gable III died February 22nd. He was the grandson of Clark Gable that we all have heard of, and he died at 30 years old. But there was
Wow.
nothing suspicious. So,
Of course not. Just a perfectly natural death at 30, yeah.
it happens. I'm
I got
30.
another death.
What do you got here?
John Candy. This is the 25th anniversary of his death.
Wow.
And
Is it?
I just adored him. Uncle Buck, you know, you could go through the list of movies.
With the pancake.
Yeah, volunteers, trains, planes, and automobiles. He even acted with Maureen O'Hara one time in one of the newer comedies. But yeah,
I saw on
Thank you, Mr.
Instagram
Candy.
today, it had Yoda, old Anakin, and old Ben Kenobi as Force Ghosts, and then it had Uncle Buck as a Force Ghost, like leaning over with a cigar out of his mouth behind him. It's
hi, I'm her Uncle Melanoma. I mean, her Uncle Wart. Her Uncle Wart.
Yes.
Oh, Kevin, I knew I recognized their songs on here.
Mhm.
I just didn't know what group. I didn't know that was their name.
Yeah, it's I
The
believe they
one
did.
the one they got the most notoriety for, that had the very popular video for, and if you've never seen it, go and watch it, and I won't spoil it for you as to why, is Smack My Bitch Up.
Right.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
I want to say a lot of their music was featured in the original Tomb Raider movie, if I'm not mistaken.
They've been in a few movie
Yeah.
soundtracks.
Oh, good for them.
Yeah, it's okay. Birthdays. We're gonna go. Anybody have any personal birthday shout outs before I start the celebrity birthdays?
I don't think so. I'll just check in case I've forgotten it.
Okay, well, you guys look for that. I'm gonna start here. Yesterday, Julie Bowen of Modern Family, as well as Boston Legal, turned 49. By the way, it is the anniversary of the birth of Alexander Graham Bell, relating back to what Chris was mentioning earlier. It's and then also Jessica Biel turned 37. Today,
Okay.
Jake Lloyd, who played young Anakin Skywalker in Episode 1, turns 29. He's still a broken man and shattered thanks to Star Wars fame and all the fans who ruined his life.
First world problems, you know.
Yeah. Thanks for nothing. Happy birthday. Eva Mendes turns 44 today. And on Wednesday, Shaq has a birthday. He's turning 46. I thought he was older than that. Shaquille O'Neal. Wednesday is also the anniversary of the birth of Michelangelo, who I think it's amazing. Somebody born in 1475, he's still a household name, like Da Vinci.
Not the Ninja Turtle.
Well, that does help keep his memory alive a little bit, sort of, kind of. Or pizza. Couple other ones. Andrea, this week, Bryan Cranston turned 62.
He's my favorite.
Of Breaking Bad and many
And not
others.
because of Breaking Bad, before Breaking Bad.
Oh, I loved him on Malcolm in the Middle.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. With the roller
Him
skates.
and that. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Come
Him and the actress, I thought, had a fantastic chemistry. The one who played the mom, and
Yes.
they made that show just amazing.
Yeah, I definitely think the parents, more so than the kids a lot of times. It's and the last one I have for birthdays this week is on the 9th, so Saturday, Oscar Isaac from the latest Star Wars trilogy, as well as X-Men Apocalypse and a few other things, is turning 39.
Oh, yay.
And there we go. That's this week in history, I guess, unless anybody has anything else to add.
All of our viewers, throw out your birthdays and deaths and, yeah. All that.
Not your personal death.
Oh,
But-
glad you clarified that. That was a close come thing.
Speaking of death, do you want to talk about the redneck funeral?
Oh yeah, I didn't talk about that in the beginning, did I? It's yeah. So
No, this is death work.
Look at that segue, just right on.
Well done.
Good job.
So I think it was it? I guess it was Friday. We're looking out the window. Well, I heard a chainsaw. You know, because we're in the country and chainsaws are something you hear. And I'm like, who's using a
Close.
chainsaw? Maybe my neighbor is cutting down that tree that fell on my property and chopping it up. And I look out the back window, and right next to my backyard is their back lot where they used to have a, only took a half hour, I know, Skipper, I know, it's horrible. We're slacking.
We don't have Ed.
We don't have Ed. It's but they're clearing out. There's one tombstone back there already and a little bench in front of it, and they're cutting down the branches of the trees. Now the best part of this tree trimming process is they got out their little tractor with the little bulldozer thing, and they put a guy in the bucket, lift it up as high as he can, went towards the tree, and then he stands up in the bucket with a chainsaw, leaning forward, cutting branches, and then like you could see him slip and the chainsaw fall next to his side, swinging in one hand. And I'm just like, I want to go get my phone to take pictures or call the ambulance if need be. but I really don't want to stop watching this. And we're trying to guess what. Now, which one is that? Is that Jake or Deuce?
This is Deuce.
Deuce. Okay. It's So I'm trying to decide, what to do, and we're also trying to figure out what they're doing. We're like, well, maybe they're clearing the land to clean it, and we immediately discarded that idea. We're like, well, maybe they're clearing the land because they're going to sell it, and we're going to get a new neighbor between us and the white trashiest ever. Then we saw a gray van pull up, and a man in a suit get out with a camera, taking pictures, and then he put little orange flags in the grass next to the other tombstone. So we're like, oh, they're going to bury somebody else here. So they clear it out. It actually looked kind of nice when they were done. They just dragged all the brush they cut down to the other side of the back lot, 12 feet away, and piled it there. So Saturday, the funeral starts, and I'm going to keep waiting for them to park in my driveway, and they didn't. But no kidding, probably...
I had to work.
Andrea did. Andrea wanted pictures. I'm like, I felt a little disrespectful. But it doesn't mean I can't stare out the window and give a blow-by-blow. 4 out of
That's what
5
she
vehicles were pickup trucks. And probably 3 out of 5 of all the men had baseball caps on, and there was a plethora of hoodies, camo jackets. One guy did wear a nice dress shirt. Of course, he had it totally untucked and hanging out of his pants. It was a delightful thing. It was wonderful. They did play strains of Amazing Grace, which Elizabeth got to witness as she was leaving. And though there was a touching moment at the end, one guy stayed behind for like an hour just standing over the grave. And I don't know what the relationship was.
Aww.
There was a younger woman than him sitting on the bench like waiting for him. I'm guessing his daughter or something like that. So I don't know if this guy was a sibling or one of the guy's kids or whatever. But, yeah, redneck funeral right in my own backyard. I
But
can't...
then,
But what? What happened then?
after that,
Dun,
what was it?
What's that?
But then after it was over, what was in the tree?
So Sunday morning I wake up and it's a nice, dark, gloomy, overcast day. And my cat, the youngest one, Harry Housing Cat, is pressed up against the window, scratching at it. And I'm like, what's he looking at? And I go look out the window, and there's a vulture sitting in the tree, staring at the gravesite. So I pan my field of vision over to the gravesite, and there's a hound dog sniffing around the freshly made grave.
Oh.
And I was terribly amused with the thought that the dog would dig up the body. And by the way, there was one black guy in attendance, which I was happy to see, till I realized he was the hired help that has to fill in the hole. Yeah. Welcome
I
to...
didn't bury him very deep.
No, they had a bulldozer to fill it in too. But yeah, he was one of the employees from the funeral service.
I'm curious, if you're burying white trash, does that make it a land?
It's
It's horrible.
now, out of paranoia,
But it's horrible.
I was very concerned that I was going to get drunken rednecks at my door because I suspect the person they buried was my neighbor's father, who used to own this house, and I bought it on foreclosure. So I was a little worried that we're going to have drunken redneck visitors at some point this weekend. But that did not happen, I'm happy to report. So,
Right on.
there's our redneck funeral story. Thanks for the reminder there. Appreciate that, Chris.
That's what I'm here for.
Chris was on
Reminding
Discord
you.
as we were playing World of Warcraft as I was like giving him the blow by blow as everyone's like stand up and look out the window. It's Elizabeth's in the other room doing her makeup. Hey, by the way, Elizabeth was telling me all kinds of great things about her makeup mentor.
Yeah? What?
I figured I'd let Elizabeth speak at this point in time instead of me You know, she's right there. She could.
She's not listening.
I am listening. I'm playing with my pussy.
Like I said.
I can't reach mine from here.
All I said was, I'm really lucky. I love my makeup coach. You know, she even teaches me and makes it look so casual. Like going into a store and say, here, try this. You know, she figures out what I'm doing and what I need to do, what I'm trying to do, and then she shows me what I need. So it's fantastic.
She sounds
It
awesome.
makes it fun. She does. She's amazing.
You even had a star stamp.
Mm-hmm.
Which, did that get any comments at your event Sunday?
No. Oh, thank you for bringing that up. Sorry, I'm distracted. Pussies and everything.
I'm good with the leading questions. Go on.
People have been commenting and making positively, not negatively. And the star, they don't know what to do with it. They're like, what is that? And then they get really close. And then they want to touch it. Like,
Near.
oh, like, don't touch it. Don't touch it. Yeah.
Did you ever get any? Did that hurt when you got that tattoo?
No, do you?
Hey, John, how are you? Good to see you.
I do.
Hey, John.
Hey, John.
Howdy, 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 howdy.
John!
You finally got to go see the store this week. Last
I
week.
did.
And hang out with John.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And got to talk about something he's working on, and got to talk about the back room and just comics in general. And I learned a lot, and I got a huge sketchbook.
Look at that. What are you drawing on? Can we see that?
That was just something from the screenplay. Grandpa teaching the 10-year-old how to shoot a sniper rifle. You know.
Like
as you
you.
do.
As you do.
Like you
Are you worried about our neighbors?
This is the rabbit I drew when I was talking to you and Chris. Can you see it? Here's the rabbit. That was my warm-up draw.
That's a very angry rabbit.
It's the Easter Bunny. Yeah. I hadn't drawn in a long time.
Nice, nice. John says it was wonderful, Elizabeth.
Big. What? Who?
John says it was wonderful.
Oh, it was fun. It's fun to see people's business and it's comics, and they were getting ready for the Magic card game that goes all night long. Maniacs.
Uh-huh.
I kicked someone's ass at Magic the other night using a card that John sent me.
Which card?
Oh.
Which, by the way, Wynn says, my dad actually taught me how to shoot a rifle, sniper style. So keep that in mind before you piss her off, everyone.
She could do a little teaching camp for us all.
We gotta lay in the grass? What? Kevin,
Yeah.
what card was
What
it?
was the card? Kev.
Huh? What was
Which
what?
card?
Oh wow! It was which is the Liliana sent me. One of the planeswalkers, anyway. It's the one that generates like a never-ending army of 2/2 zombies every time you tap it.
Yep,
Oh,
I'm familiar with that
Holy
one.
cow.
It's a good card.
Yeah. Yes, John's a very lovely man. Sent me some wonderful Magic cards all the way to the UK, which is really nice of him.
Speaking of zombies, has anyone seen that kind of new one that came out where there were Nazis in the laboratory beneath during World War II with some kind of zombie
Maybe a
All right, I'll look it up. Hang on.
Well, because there's a few movies like that.
Zombies.
It's
Zombies.
kind of
and-
Castle Wolfenstein, but they called it something else.
The Sky Captain, that one.
No. You're thinking
There were
Iron
no
Sky.
zombies in Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow.
By the way, John
There were
says
dinosaurs and a lens cap.
she's checking for the title, Toei. John says my dad taught me how to avoid sniper fire.
Also a useful skill.
Use it all the time.
Overlord.
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 Oh,
No, haven't even heard
Have
of
you
it.
seen it, Chris?
No, I've never heard of it.
It looks just
No,
awful
not
to
Hellboy.
watch. Like, just dreadful. And I can't wait.
Oh, it's not out yet.
Yeah, thoughts on the new Hellboy?
Oh, I'm excited. I love Hellboy. He's a great superhero.
Yeah.
I thought the trailer was a trailer. It was good. And
Did you watch the other one?
No.
Because the other one is better than the one you watched.
Oh, good to hear. The one I watched was fine, but it's just like, oh, here's an action movie, and here's some witty quips, and
I still haven't watched the trailers for it, so I'm going to go and do that in a minute when the show finishes.
yeah, we've only got about 15 minutes before we wrap this up for the night. It's so I will scratch cats till then. It's we're all distracted by pussy.
I've been shunned consistently by Fred tonight.
Oh.
He's inches away, but he's decided to go to sleep instead.
Like you do. Like you do.
Well,
So yeah, help. Yeah, I have no problem with the new Hellboy, but I don't know. We'll see.
Fred!
There are
I
some.
don't think he can hear you.
Yell louder.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Oh, here comes the third one.
I'm
again.
always very appreciative for being around animals and them not attacking me.
I normally am, but he's snoring right now.
Oh, that's cute.
It's not. It's that kind of sickly, wheezy type snoring. You know, it's not a hearty snore. It's a.
Otter has a very interesting snore.
And frequent. Matter of
Even
fact,
when he's not sleeping.
that's true.
It's one of those like pitches that Travis's mic picks up really, really well, even when he's like nowhere near the microphone. And we'll be playing. I'll be like, "Oh, Otter's snoring again." And he'll be like, "How can you hear that? He's like in the other room."
The truth is, Otter has a teeny little headset that he wears around that's mic'd to my computer. And when I'm not
Such a
looking,
professional pussy.
he puts it on and he's like, Chris is on, right? Unmute. Sorry, I've got a huge pussy on my lap.
You know, if I could just steer the conversation back to what we were talking about in the previous hour. You know, I do love superhero movies because I love to see, and I empathize with the character, almost become this character, and see them using powers, to see them figuring things out, you know, and I really enjoy that. Now, it can be anything. It doesn't have to be necessarily superheroes, like learning to sail a boat or swimming with whales, but it is fun, especially the flying. I really do enjoy that. But you can do that flying an airplane in a movie or something. But heroes in movies fit. They really do. And I grew up, in response to Travis talking about Westerns, I grew up with very old Westerns and like from the 50s and AFN. And they were heroes for me. They were superheroes for me, especially when even Zorro I thought was a great superhero.
Yes.
I never tire of it. I tire of shitty writing and marketing and yes, all that, but you know. But I'm a filmmaker. I love films.
I'd be
You could just
okay.
get a good script. That's good.
I enjoyed the Antonio Banderas Zorro movies, but I'd be okay if they never made another Zorro or Lone Ranger. Because I feel like
I didn't think the Johnny Depp Lone Ranger was all that bad.
I didn't think it was all that bad
Wasn't
I
either.
didn't think it was all that great,
Right.
but it wasn't
It's
that
alright.
Antonio Banderas, I thought, is much better when he's not trying to be fun.
He did good as Puss in Boots.
I was gonna say Puss in Boots was pretty great.
Yeah.
So, Tarzan
That's
is
my
an-
favorite superhero.
Tarzan is another one I can do without ever seeing another movie or TV series about. You guys have tried a dozen times. Just leave it be now.
For what now?
Tarzan.
Uh,
It's you know, they every half dozen years or dozen years you get another Tarzan film that comes out, and it's always mediocre. It's I think we're
I
good.
prefer George of the Jungle.
Yeah. They only did one movie of that. No, they did 2 or 3.
It was
They had
great.
sequels.
no, they did 2.
Yeah.
Because the sequel was with his little son.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's go back to me forgetting that one, though. We could just stick with the first
Go
one.
back to what?
What about the twat?
What did you say?
Twat waffle.
Twat, pussycat.
Wow.
It's,
I was thinking that, like, what superhero movie would I really like to see?
that's a good question. What one hasn't been made that you'd like to see? And would it be a 2-hour
No.
movie, or would you want like a 12-hour series?
You know, I'm a movie girl. I really enjoy movies. I really do. And I really enjoy sitting in the dark and putting up with people and having this mutual experience while staring at light. I really do enjoy that. And I have to say, I hate it when it happens, but when I go, I'll go to the first showing and I'll go see a scary movie, a horror movie. And there'll be one weird guy, the back row, the whole movie. And you know, I gotta kind of look, but not look like I'm looking. But
And his breathing sounds like otter snoring.
I've never had any. I've never had anything bad happen, but it just adds to the experience. You know? I've
Wow.
had movies be so scary, I pull my neck out of joint. Like,
Like what movies?
I scared an entire theater during a showing of Signs.
Oh, did you? When was that? What part?
I don't. So I went with a friend and saw it, like, you know, that the first night it came out, and then some other friends were like, "Hey, let's go see Signs. Yeah, it'll be great." And like the movie theater was packed, and we were like in the very front row, and I was bored, and they were in the middle of like they were walking through the corn at some point. Which corn point in the movie, I don't know. There was a lot of fucking corn. But it was quiet. They're looking around, and I just go, "Boo!" And the entire theater jumped and screamed at once. It was very amusing as a 16-year-old or 17-year-old, however old I was when that movie came out.
That is a good. I appreciate what you did there, because that was probably the high point of the whole damn movie for a lot of them.
I mean, I thought the movie was great and scary the first time because I had no idea what was coming. But then after you see it and you know what's going on, it's really not that interesting.
That's because it's an experience. That was referring back to what I said earlier. And once you know it, yeah, it isn't, because it's, you know, you're different. You've already been through it. But that first time, and I was thinking of this the other day. A young teenager left her notebook open in the locker room, and it was blank paper, and she had written in cursive, "Yay!" But you could tell it was very emotional and driven, and she just had to get it out before she joined swim practice. And it was about, you know, she broke my trust, and I can never trust again, and it was just very dramatic. And you know, that is pretty rough when you're a teenager. You're young, you know. It's kind of still new, this injury. You know, by the time you're our age, you know.
I don't give a fuck.
Let's chalk another one up on the list of basic bitches. Move on.
Don't worry, there's always another asshole around the corner. But it's how that's got me thinking about movies. That's how movies are. You know, the first time you don't know, and then Imagine, as a director, how many times you watch a movie.
Yeah.
That's very true. There's a reason actors don't
I
watch
like
their own movies.
Signs. I still like it. I like films, but I liked it because it is truly a journey of faith used with aliens, and it's just delicious.
Yeah, I was 16 when that movie came out.
See, aliens was a big thing for a while. Aliens and
Yeah.
supernatural stuff was a big thing, and now, phases.
Very good. Very good. We got about 5 minutes to go. Anybody have any other closing thoughts on the topic?
No, I
No
think so.
capes.
No capes!
I don't know what brought capes about into the superhero genre, but yeah, it is one of those ridiculous things.
But wouldn't that help you with flying?
No.
Only to make you look cool.
The only exception I can think of would be Spawn.
Actually,
Doctor Strange too.
yeah, Doctor Strange. Batman, just for the bat look, or he uses it as a hand glider. You know, I get
Well,
that.
he doesn't have any superpowers. He just has a lot of money and really cool shit.
Yes.
Well, I would like to actually, that's been suggested on the show before, and I'd like to just throw this in. I mean, superpowers, okay, but he has an extraordinary mind.
Right.
Yeah.
And that could quite, is it a power or not? I don't know. I'm not a huge fan, but now that I've watched a lot of the Warner Brothers movies and the Justice Leagues, all the animated ones, why can the animated ones make a really good superhero movie and not the live action? I don't know. But
Level of expectation
yeah.
from fans, I would think.
You know, I'd like to see a Batman Beyond movie. Like, it was an amazing cartoon, and I think where we are now, you could probably do it justice, and it could be a pretty
Oh, you
good...
mean live action, not animated movie.
Yeah, like a live-action Batman Beyond movie. I mean, there is a Batman Beyond movie that sort of wraps up where they left things off in the
Right.
series, but... Like, I really enjoyed that whole series.
I think, Kevin, they are doing Spawn again.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think these
intriguing.
current deals are being made, and I think they just got a director or something. I can't quite remember. You'll find it, but yeah.
Best part of Spawn was John Leguizamo.
Well, now they could do the Cape. Oh.
I've never seen it.
I've got it.
It's probably a bit dated by modern standards now. It was okay. Again, it was one of those that kind of fell a little short of the mark, but it was good just because they were trying to do something that wasn't your stereotypical comic hero.
Yep. Yeah, they got an A for effort. Let's do a closing toast here. Not only to having heroes, but here's to being heroes to other people just by using your own superpower, like your brain.
Here.
That is so smooth. Okay.
My superpower is sarcasm.
You wield it well.
Okay. Gonna take us out of here. Good night, everyone.
Good night, folks.
Good night.
Shenanigans tonight. You are the one thing that makes the show what it is. Don't forget to join us at the Tavern next week. Until then, have fun, keep learning, and be good to one another. Now, raise your glass in good cheer. Enjoy the small moments every day. And see your
Alright,
dreams every
I'm going to run to the bathroom.
Super speed.
And probably disconnect because it's gonna be a minute. Talk to you guys later.
Good night. Good luck tomorrow.